today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the NECA Toys Predator the Dark Horse Comics figure. Celebrating the 25th anniversary of Dark Horse Comics, if you could actually believe it, it includes the exclusive reprint of Predator comic book number 1. And speaking of which, a nice recreation of the comic cover on the front there. Warning: choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years of age. The box itself is, well, it's a little bit bigger than some of the other inspired NECA figures that we've gotten before. This one's a lot bigger, actually, I must say. Oh, and also on the side, 25th anniversary of Dark Horse Comics. On the back, other figures available are Dallas in the compression suit, Ripley jumpsuit, Ripley in compression suit. From the Aliens line, the Genocide Warrior Alien, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, the Bishop Queen Attack, and Genocide Warrior Black Alien. Expand your clan and build the hive with these highly detailed posable action figures. Also down below, some of the Kenner-inspired Predator figures too. And down below that, some AVP figures, which I don't think have actually come out yet. Looking forward to getting those as well. Finally, the inside of the box, you can open up, and it has the reprinted comic inside there. Really cool. I think somewhere deep in Spot's archives, I think I've still got some of the original Dark Horse Comics Predators. I should see if I can try to find those. And then finally, on the other side, you've got the Predator figure in all his wondrous glory. That being said, Spot's going to take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Dark Horse Comics Predator. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. With the Predator out of packaging, well, the first thing we're going to do is do a little bit of assembly. We have to take the plasma caster shoulder cannon, and as with most Predators, you have to attach it to the shoulder. Pretty easy enough, no fuss, no muss. And there you go. And now we have a complete figure. The one other accessory that you probably can see right off the bat is he has his staff. Kind of a really cool spear. It is almost kind of more like a totem staff, or something like what you would see with, I would imagine this to be something you would see with like a witch doctor. But it's basically just a spear comprised of the skull that's been impaled on the top there. The spinal cord's been wrapped around there. It looks like we've got a hair pelt and a couple of bones and other things to it. When you get it out of packaging, it is not necessarily elastic on, but you just have to take it out of his hand. It could be a little harder to get out of his hand. We'll put him right there for a second. Hopefully get him to stand properly. Come on, stand. You can do it. There we go. Come on. There we go. There's just a better look at... Whoops. I'm going to say maybe he wasn't going to stand on me. Let's get him to stand properly. There we go. There's a closer look at the staff. Again, it's just kind of a spear, but really all the stuff that's on it gives me just kind of that witch doctor kind of vibe coming from it. Very cool, though. And with most Predator themed, especially like the NES NECA Predator, one side is colored specifically one shade, which would be the red, and you'll see how it carries over to the Predator there. And then the other side is more realistic color scheme with the browns and the creams and stuff like that. You can even see it more predominantly with the skull head. So that's a really nice touch. We'll put that to the side. And let's have a look at the Predator. It's almost very similar to the NES Predator, with the same similar blue. It's not until you flip the figure around that you see a more stark contrast with this dark red color, and it basically makes up the majority of the backside of the Predator. There's a couple of areas where a secondary dark wash, maybe like a black or a gray, have been applied there as well, so it just breaks it up so it's not all solely red. It's jarring at least a little bit when you start seeing his hair, because it is such a stark difference from what you normally would expect with the Predator being usually black dreads. They now have the red dreads, just because, again, the lighting of how the comic book would have been, colored in. The front of the Predator is more familiar, I would say. However, the colors are a lot more brighter and stylistic. And the coloring is more like a yellow, Got some whites, a little bit of beige in there as well, but mostly a really, really bright, creamy yellow make up the majority of his body. There's really not a lot of color to be said for it, but with the Predators, especially with the NECA, really not even just Predators, but any of the NECA video game and other inspired figures, basically you're going into it picking up for a sole reason. Maybe the sole reason is that you really liked the Predator on the cover of Dark Horse Comics, and therefore would be a reason why you'd want to pick this particular figure up. Aside from that, though, it's essentially the same Predators as we've seen before, just with a new coat of paint. When it comes to some of the other additional features on the Predator, if we spin it around here, still has the retractable blades, though they struggle a little bit, I find, to bring the blades out. You have to fight a little bit with them, and I feel like they're maybe a little more on the fragile side, so be a little bit careful when, when operating the blades, that you don't accidentally break them off, because you can even hear it as Spot is flicking away at it. It does almost feel like it's a more brittle plastic, so fairly warned, be a little careful, of course, when you're playing around with the blades there. The rest of the accessories, I guess, he doesn't really have the opened control console on the inside there. That's a bit of a shame, but that's okay. When it comes to his posability, the Predator's head is on a ball joint, and yes, that will happen when you move the head. Sometimes it does ultimately push the caster shoulder cannon off. And we just snap that back into place. You have to put it underneath. You probably have seen these before. Put it underneath, and then tuck it over top, and it fits into that little groove there. Shoulders hinge out, no problems whatsoever there. Arms move forward and back. He has a bend in the elbow, which also allows the Predator's forearm to rotate left and right. Also has a ball joint in the hand. The waist swivels, and once again, there goes the plasma shoulder cannon. I probably don't have it completely in, and that's probably the culprit as to why it's not staying in there for me. Legs move in and back and forth, and in and out. It does also use the newer Predator articulation, so at least the legs hinge out, which is a nice touch. Finally, the legs have a double hinge in the knee, followed by a ball joint in the foot. As with it goes with most of the video game inspired NECA figures, you either will really like collecting them, or it's probably something that you might pass on. I think you might gravitate a little bit more towards it if you know the source material. Spot being a big fan of the original Dark Horse comics and the subsequent Batman vs. Predator, which really got me more interested in the Predators. I gotta say, it's a good looking figure. I don't know if I would say it's something that you need to necessarily add to your collection, because again, something like this, with the coloring so stark different than the regular Predators, I would say it's something that you would pick up if perhaps you have a fond fascination with the material that the figure is based from. Basing it from the cover of the Dark Horse Comics comic cover, I think it ended up coming out really good. Although, again, it's going to look a little different than some of the Predators that you probably already have in your collection. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the NECA Toys Dark Horse Comics. This was the repaint of the Predator. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.